What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Black and Nerdy Tabletop. I'm your host, Zephyrnix, and today we are taking a first look, or first impressions of the Runesmith. So this one is actually very interesting. First of all, I had to look at the picture, and I was kind of drawn by the cat creature on her thing right here that's alive, and I totally didn't even look at the runes. Now I'm looking at the weapon right here, and it's funny because someone stated they wish they can they hope the character can pull something out of a spell circle here, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's a knife or a dagger of some sort, and he's enchanting it, or she's enchanting it. You can see by the curve right here. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So this is a very interesting class. Now, first thing I saw was this key attribute intelligence. I gotta admit, I was a little bit disheartened by this one. Because we have plenty of intelligent-based fighters or martial characters already. Not only that, but we actually have, I think, 3 crafting-based martial characters. So it's like, really, another one? Okay, But I gotta say, despite that, this one actually kind of interested me. Anyway, you get 8 points, hit points 8 plus your Constitution modifier. That's fine. Trained in perception. I was hoping expert, but trained is fair enough. Expert fortitude, trained in reflex, expert in will. Basically, that means that, like I said, if you get attacked by the common code, 3 out of 4, you can just simply go ahead. It probably won't even affect you because your fortitude's so high. However, if someone sneezes in your direction, it's almost guaranteed to hit you. But at that point, you can just go ahead and tell it, don't touch me, and they'll probably listen to you. Trained in crafting, that's fine. Trained in your choice of arcane, nature, occultism, or religion, which is fine. But the funny part is that by the time that you're ready to roll your character, you have so many, you actually have so many skills and abilities, skill choices at this point, where you can actually choose them all. And the reason why these are important is because there are some runes that you can't actually use unless you have those type of skills. So very interesting. Speaking of skills, trained in a number of additional skills equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. Really good. Attacks, martial class, so you got simple weapons, martial weapons. Defense, light armor and medium armor. And of course, unarmored defense, everyone has that. So, all right. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of things here. So I want to go here to the key terms. So the key terms is very interesting right here as well, because it kind of brings kind of a new look at runes. So for those who don't know, runes are usually at level 2 and beyond. You can go ahead and etch runes into your, or craft runes into your weapons and your armor and whatnot, and they usually give you an upgrade in some way or form. Sometimes it'll give you like a +1 to hit, for example, or a bigger damage die. It's kind of like the way D&D does their stuff. So D&D does, like, if you got a magic weapon, it becomes a +1 longsword, for example. Where in Pathfinder, it's not +1 longsword per se, but it's more like a instead of getting like a +1 to damage, you get like a plus damage die. For example. So it's the weapons do a heck of a lot more in general when they become magical in Pathfinder, especially when you can go ahead and craft which runes that you want on it. So that's kind of the way this gameplay, that particular rule or that particular gameplay circle is what this class is kind of written around. So with that in mind, let's start off with runes. So runes, it says a runesmith doesn't really cast spells, but they can apply various magical effects through runes. Runes can be applied via etching or tracing. So that's actually a very important part. So etching, rather, is when you can go ahead, for example, if you have a longsword, you literally will carve the runes into the actual longsword, and you'll get like a passive effect. Tracing is where you literally put your fingers into the air and you literally trace it in the air, and you can execute it right there. Very similar, in fact, to characters like Ren Tosaka from Fate Night Stay or the Fate Night series. Actually, even more, ironically enough, almost completely out of left field, very similar to the Samurai Sentai Sengenja. For those who don't know what that is, that's basically the Japanese version of Power Rangers. So I thought that was a very or Power Ranger Samurai. if I'm being honest with you, because those are virtually the same shell. One's American, one is Japanese version. Anyway, so yeah, you kind of do it that way. And then, but once you trace it, what it'll do is it'll go ahead and enchant on whoever you want it to. You may have to use one action or two actions depending on how far they are. But what happened is that it'll only last for one round. Evocation. Evocation, once the item is already either etched or traced, you can use your evocation, and that pretty much means that you got to speak the name. And once you speak the name of the runes, it'll go ahead and execute its active effect. So that's also really good. So you basically have a spell that will actually go ahead and do two particular type of effects. I'm thinking that's a really cool idea here. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna turn off my ringer here. Last but not least is the diacritic runes. So diacritic runes are basically enchantment runes, or rather, enchantments for the runes in particular. So think of, for example, Goku has the Kamehameha, right? However, he also has the Cho Kamehameha, which is a more powerful one. So imagine Cho being the diacritic rune, while the rune itself being a Kamehameha. So very similar to that. In fact, it's even like when you say the rune or whatnot, it's actually very similar to that, but we'll get into that in a minute here. So remember, when you're applying the rune, you have to have an artisan's toolkit. You have to have an artisan's toolkit to etch the rune in. So you can also use it depending on stuff. But like I said, artisan toolkit, when you have this character, just might as well if you have this class, your mom should just have it on you. So here's the part what I said about tracing already. Like I said before, use your finger. As your finger kind of glows, you kind of trace it in the sky, and it'll go ahead and do that. Invoking is also what I just mentioned before. Pretty much, you go ahead and speak its name, and which we'll talk about the names in 1 minute. Actually, here's a name right here. So, for example, you may say Ranchu and go ahead and invoke it, and then it'll have a different effect. We'll definitely get into the runes in a minute, because that's actually where the power really comes from. Just letting you know too, at level 1 you have 4 runes, but you can only have 2 of them etched into your etched in general. Okay, so etched into your weapon. It's not etched into your weapon and your armor and your blah blah. Nope, just 2 runes etched in general. Once you reach level 5, it increases, but you get the idea. With that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about some of the runes that we have available. So you have the Trail, the Rune of Fire. So this is the one, especially ones like this, you want to pay attention to, because like you'll think of this and you'll think, okay, well, this must means that I can go ahead and cast like a fire spell. Not really. So just to kind of read it word from word here, it says this rune is often placed on a stone. Well, that doesn't matter. This what matters. The bearer's fire resistance, if any, is reduced by 6. Its immunities are unaffected. Evocation. The bearer takes 2d6 fire damage with a basic fortitude save. On a critical failure, they are dazed for 1 round. So understand what this means. This is something, you use the rune, but you don't put it on yourself, or you don't etch it into your weapon, because if you etched it into your weapon, it would actually bring down your fire resistance. Not only that, but you would take 2d6 fire damage. Once, if it was ever evocated. So what you want to do is, this is something that you would actually want to go ahead and trace and put on somebody else, an enemy, to be more precise, and it will go ahead and do damage to them. Also note that it says level 2+, the reduction of the fire resistance increases by 1, and the damage done by the evocation increases by 2d6. So it looks like you'll actually be able to go ahead, and this will continuously increase in power. So I like that. But then you also have, these are ones that you guys would etch on your own weapon. So Evastir, Rune of the Waystones. A waystone is basically a stone that you would like use to sharpen your weapons and whatnot. So long story short, it says, let's go here. On a successful strike, once it's etched, on a successful strike, when the weapon deals, on a successful strike, the weapon deals an additional 2 persistent bleed damage per weapon damage die. That's impressive. I do want to make mention that you have to either draw this on a piercing or slashing weapon or unarmed. So just an FYI. So it's got to be either etched or traced on a weapon. If it's traced, remember, you can only use it for that 1 round, and after that, it's good to go. You can't do it anymore. The evocation is that it says the essence of the sharpness is released outward from the rune, dealing 2d6 slashing damage to a creature adjacent of the rune bearer with a basic fortitude save. Now, I want to be very clear about evocations. So when you use the evocation, once you use that, the actual rune is no more. It's gone. So if you have it etched, it'll disappear. If you just traced it, that's fine, but it won't do the persistent stuff that it's supposed to do. So just an FYI. You know, actually, this actually may not affect it if it's evocated, because this is something that goes on the character, unlike the one right here where you got the fire resistance and whatnot. So that's an FYI. Here's another rune that I thought was very interesting for those who are of the bludgeoning type. So you have to use this. This is something you have to do on a bludgeoning weapon. And basically what it says is, it says the weapon deals 1 bludgeoning splash damage per weapon damage die. If the weapon is a melee weapon, the rune bearer is immune to the splash damage. So that's very interesting. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, okay. So it says the weapon deals 1 bludgeoning splash damage. So you have to have this etched on your weapon. And like I said, when you hit somebody, it'll do 1 splash of weapons. If the weapon, remember though, splash damage affects everyone in the 5-foot vicinity, which includes you. So if the weapon is a melee weapon, though, which I don't imagine that it wouldn't be, the rune bearer is immune to the splash damage. So this actually would be pretty interesting, because I'm noticing here it says draw on a bludgeoning weapon. This one also says draw on a piercing or slashing weapon, but it says or unarmed strike. Or unarmed strike. So imagine to be able to etch those on your your mighty mighty gloves of righteousness, or whatever the hell they're called. I can't think right now, but if you could actually do that, that would actually work out pretty well. That means that you would get both 2 additional piercing persistent bleed damage and splash damage. So yeah, that I think that's how that works anyway. So yeah, here's one for your shield, but you're getting the idea too. The evocation is basically the same as it was on this one, for the record. For this one, it says your weapon, it says the next successful strike made with the weapon before the end of its wielder's next turn deals an additional die of damage, and oh, that's actually better, and the target must succeed at a fortitude save against your class DC or be pushed 10 feet backwards, 20 feet for a critical failure. So this is really good. I like this actually. Let's take a look at another one here. Here's another one, Ranshu, the Rune of Fire. We actually looked at this one earlier here. So it says the bearer does not take a move action. If the bearer does not take a move action at least once on its turn, lightning finds it at the end of its turn, dealing 1d4 electrical damage. So this is one that you want to cast on a creature. Now keep in mind too, think about this for a second. Like you can put this on an object or a creature, but the big thing that you need to worry about is the simple fact that these spells are uncontrollable. Once the rune, it's not like a wizard spell or anyone's spell. Once the rune is placed, it's going to continuously do it until you use the evocation, you know, which will make it disappear. But then even then, this has an effect all itself. So the preliminary streaks of lightning braids together in a powerful bolt. The rune bearer takes 2d6 electrical damage with a basic fortitude save. So like I said, you're going to be taking a lot of like these are uncontrollable. So here are some of the diacritic runes. For example, you have right here, you have sun right here. Looking at it says draw on a rune that deals damage. So it has to be one that deals damage. It says the diacritic, whatever the hell that word is, basically enhances rather the base rune with bolder lines to give greater weight to its effect. When the base rune is invoked, its evocation gains a status bonus to the damage equal to your intelligence modifier. Wow. So this means that if you're doing one that does damage and you want to use this will actually go ahead and make it do more damage once it's invoked. So just going back to Ranchu, that means that if you go ahead and put draw this on someone and you use one action to invoke it, they do 2d6 electrical damage plus your intelligence modifier. So yeah, 2d6 plus your intelligence modifier of damage. That's good. Here, let's use another diacritic one. The Rune of Expansion, N. So for the record, if you were to use so it would be like Ranchu, you know? Just putting it out there. N. So it says draw this on, once again, another one that does damage. It says it surrounds a rune with an outward facing arrows to magnify and direct power outward. When the base rune is invoked, its damage applies in a 15-foot burst centered on the rune bearer. If any creature are also within that area, they are subject to the base rune's effect, including any savings throw. Wow. That means that whatever you got going on, it'll go ahead and spread out. Instead of in one person, it'll spread out. It's splash damage, basically, in a 15-foot burst. Once again, this is great. And once, let me see. So certain ones, like this Rune of Gravity here, which also does that, as you see, it increases eventually. So some of them increases at certain levels. Like this one, you get at level 9, but it increases at level 17. Ranchu increases every second level. So it increases, the damage increases by 1, and the invocation itself increases by 2d6. So, like I said, this is how it is. Now, mind you that, once again, and I'll end it here, you'll have to go about the runes. But all these runes, these are uncontrollable magic, which kind of makes it even better. So, like, once you cast it on someone, you have to invoke it. Otherwise, it'll continuously do what it do, no matter what the situation is. So, I love it. Let's go ahead and look at some of the things here. So, at level 2, you go ahead and it says you gain the magic crafting skill feat, which means that you can craft magical weapons. That's cool. But it says even if it doesn't meet your prerequisites, you automatically gain the formulas for fundamental armor runes. Now, this is impressive, which means that you get armor potency, which means +1 AC, resilient, which is +1 resistance, fundamental shield reinforcing, +1 to shield AC, +1 to shield AC, or whatever the word is, and fundamental weapon runes, which is weapon potency, which is +1 to hit, and striking, which is +1 to damage, plus damage dice to damage. So yes, and all these get added to your formula book. Oh well, it says you don't need it, but I'm gonna put it in my formula book. That's good. You get the skill feat, general feat, skill increase, and this one increases every 2 levels, so 3, 5, 9, blah blah blah. Right here, you get your Smith's weapon expertise. So it looks like you've dedicated yourself to learning the intricacies of your weapon. You proficiency ranks for simple weapons and martial weapons increase to expert. Okay, fair enough. So that means that you'll now be getting instead of a +2 to hit, a +4 to hit. So that's nice. Expert runes. This is by the time that right here about 5 is where you can go ahead and get more runes etched, by the way. But long story short, it says expert runes. Your expertise in magical scripting lends further power to your runics. Your proficiency for Runesmith DC increases to master. That's fine. Let's see. Reflex expertise. That's fine. Rune optimization. You gain. Basically, this means that your reflexes go from trained to expert. By the way, you've learned to draw upon the magic of weapon runes to deal a greater damage. You deal +2 additional damage with weapons bearing a striking rune. So this basically means that a striking rune, a magical weapon, does more damage in your hands than anybody else's. I love it. I love it. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Assured Rune Crafter. So it says when you roll a check to craft a magical item in downtime, and that item is a permanent rune, you get the outcome 1 degree of success better than the result of your crafting checking. Long story short, if you succeed, you critically succeed. If you fail, you succeed. If you critically fail, you just fail. So, yes, okay. Increase, it looks like increase your fortitude save, I believe to master. And if you go ahead and get a success, you do a critical success instead. Medium armor expertise, which means that your AC from here will increase by 2, despite that it's already increasing every time you level. Perception expertise at 13 will go to master, which means that you'll now go from +2 perception to +4. Here's another Smith mastery weapons, which means that it says you fully understand your weapons. Your proficiency ranks for simple and martial weapons increase to master. Okay. Great, master? Oh, yeah, okay. That's not bad, actually. So, yeah, that's pretty much a +6 to hit now at that point. Once again, rune optimization, same thing as the other one, just doubled here. You got 4 additional damage, 5, and then 6. And then master for runes, you are a true master. Long story short, it goes up to master. Legendary runes pretty much go to legendary. So, and then armor mastery at level 19. So this is actually really good. I'm not going to go too far into the runes feats right here because it's late and I know my wife is ready to go to bed. But here's one that's very interesting, I thought. Engraving strike. It basically means that you make a melee strike with the weapon. On a success, you trace a rune onto a target of your strike. That basically means that I can attack someone, and if I attack them, they'll get the effect of let's just do a trail. So basically, they'll go ahead and get their fires now. Their fire thing is reduced by 6. So basically, this character you definitely want to kind of synergize. You know, for example, if you're going to use a trail, the fire rune, you may want to make sure you got fire weapons on you. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's really good. Like these kind of runes are really good. Like you want to etch the ones and get the ones that you know your friends may have too. For example, if someone has a lot of lightning damage or whatever, then you may want to go ahead and get the rune that that helps with that particular lightning damage and whatnot. So that's a good one. You got the rune singer here too, which basically allows you to use performance instead of crafting when you're doing a crafting check that relates to runes. So I like that as well. Smithing tool, so you can also get additional hammer, pick, knife, and stuff like that, though I don't really imagine that you would need that because you already advanced weapons, that's why. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna end here because I actually like this. This is a really good Magic Knight type of class. I thought it was going to be weird, but it's not. It's very well done. It's almost as good as the Necromancer, and I really enjoyed the Necromancer. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section below. You guys have a great night. I'm out.